So, welcome to day 17. This was another day when I had a lot going on in my day to day life and didn't really find a whole lot of time to draw, but I did manage to do a few things. And for the most part, I'm fairly pleased with the way those things turned out. Started off as usual with some gesture work. The big problem I feel like I experienced here was that I'm trying a little bit different aspect ratio for my canvas since I've started posting a lot of these things online. And I figured that the more vertical arrangement would be easier to view in a web browser or possibly on a phone. It took me a little bit of getting used to. I have a really bad tendency to make things bigger than they need to be. Both individual elements, like heads, I often make bigger than they need to be, but also in terms of the entire image that I'm working on, often is far bigger, takes up more space than it really needs to. So it took a little bit of trial and error to figure that out, how to place things and work with them as best as I could. And it probably will continue to do so as I move forward in this. But for the most part, I'm fairly pleased with the way these turned out. They're still struggling with some proportional issues here and there, but felt pretty good about things. It all seemed to come together quite nicely. And for the most part, I was able to feel like I was getting the gesture down and move on to working on some of the details, particularly in these later ones, without that much hassle. And that's always encouraging when that happens. So from here, I'm going to be moving on to my artist study, which I am continuing, and I'm at the point where I'm really hesitant to share this a lot, simply because the things I'm working on are so minuscule. They're the details that in the larger picture you're not going to notice a lot of difference day to day. So I actually have come to the conclusion of how I'm going to finish this one. I'm not going to be taking it to completion. That was never the intent of this study. I am going to be finishing or at least doing as much detail work as I can around the eyes. As you can see, I'm focusing on that eye today, her right eye, our left. And I'm just going to be touching on those areas as much as possible over the next couple of days. And once I feel happy with the way they are looking, I will be moving on to other studies again, at least for the time being. I'm not saying that I won't ever come back to this, but it seems kind of unlikely to me because I feel like I've gotten a lot out of it. I feel like I've learned a lot that I needed to get out of it. And while the process of taking it through to completion in and of itself would be very educational, it's really not the purpose. It's not the point of this exercise. Someday I will be doing that with some study. I've definitely got plans to do that in the future, but it's not for this one. So this is me just experimenting. This is those character designs again that I've been working on, and I'm just experimenting with brushes in Sketchbook Pro and trying to apply a technique that Marco Bucci talks about on his YouTube channel. If you have not seen his videos, I highly recommend that you go check them out because they are amazing. But he talks a lot about the process of painting as being a process of imposing order on top of chaos, or even designing order on top of chaos, particularly digital painting, because that's the way you get interesting textures and shapes and things that are a bit more challenging to do naturally in digital painting. And I really wanted to try out that technique, try and apply the concepts that he was talking about. So yeah, I started off laying down just a mess of texture and value, kind of generally trying to keep my values broadly in the final of what I was looking for, but only broadly. and then going in over top of that texture and refining it and carving out areas of detail, uh, and um, and leaving a lot of that texture underneath as much as possible. And I feel like the result is pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and I'm definitely looking forward to experimenting with it more, particularly in color. You can be sure that I will be returning to this method when I do actually move on to what I intend for these sketches, which is the paint up, the full color paint up of them. Which I definitely am looking forward to doing here in the near future because I'm very pleased with the way that turned out. So that's it for day 17. And here's hoping for a lot of good drawing today. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.